Hello and welcome to an all-new Marvelcast, Explosion Network's hub of all things Marvel, a place to talk about everything MCU and beyond, from Avengers and Defenders to Avi Arad and Amy Pascal. I'm Ashley Hobley, the Explosion Network's friendly neighborhood podcast host. Joining me today, Ultimate Ciaran Marchant.
Thwip thwip, everyone. Thwip thwip.
Spoilers. And the astonishing Dylan Blight.
What? No, that's what I heard like fucking for half the movie by this dude across the road from me. Ah! Thought he was on a fucking roller coaster. Jesus Christ.
Okay, so today, this is a spoiler cast for Spider-Man No Way Home. So, please be aware, we will be freely discussing anything, everything that happens about the plot, themes, and ending of the film. So, if you haven't watched Spider-Man No Way Home, come back later. Just giving extra warning in case, you accidentally start playing this episode by accident, or, you subscribe to us on Spotify, thank you very much, and the episode starts auto-playing after you've listened to something else. With that said, let's jump to our discussion of Spider-Man No Way Home.
When Mysterio revealed my identity, my entire life got screwed up. I was wondering if maybe you could make it so that he never did.
Strange. Don't cast that spell. It's too dangerous. Fine. I won't.
The entire world is about to forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
Wait, everyone? Can't some people still know?
That's not how the spell works.
So MJ's gonna forget about everything we've ever been through?
Stop tampering with the spell.
Oh my god, Ned, he's my best friend. Oh, my Aunt May should really know.
Stop talking!
What just happened?
We tampered with the stability of space-time. The multiverse is a concept about which we know frighteningly little. The problem is you trying to live two different lives. The longer you do it, the more dangerous it becomes. Be careful what you wish for, Parker.
Directed by Jon Watts. Written by Chris McKenna, Erik Sommers. Based on Spider-Man by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. Starring Tom Holland, Zendaya, Benedict Cumberbatch, Jacob Batalon, Jon Favreau, Jamie Foxx, Willem Dafoe, Alfred Molina, Benedict Wong, Revolori, Marisa Tomei, Andrew Garfield, and Tobey Maguire. Oh, it just feels weird saying it out loud.
And Tom Hardy, am I right?
Tom Hardy. Man, was Venom really worth it now?
Well, we'll get to that.
Side note, can I just say something before we get started? Just real quickly, before I forget. Have we ever had a spoiler? Like, I assume Ash had it because he was at the screener, but the movie starts with a don't spoil it splash screen.
Yeah, I've never
I don't
seen
think
that.
I've seen that
video,
before.
the video.
No,
message.
we just have it was
just a splash screen.
Just a splash screen saying, "Hey,
don't spoil Spider-Man" or whatever.
Be a friendly neighbor and don't spoil Spider-Man."
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that at a normal movie, not a advanced screening.
They mustn't have.
Maybe
they didn't translate in Korean apparently.
Maybe that was put up in response to that kind of stuff happening already.
Maybe. But, synopsis. With Spider-Man's identity now revealed, our friendly neighborhood's web-slinger is unmasked and no longer able to separate his normal life as Peter Parker with the high stakes of being a superhero. When Peter asks for help from Doctor Strange, the stakes become even more dangerous, forcing him to discover what it truly means to be Spider-Man. Here's the first question I want to ask you guys. Did you get anything spoiled before you went in?
No.
No confirmations. I think.
Oh, are we counting the rumors? Or what are we?
If we're honest, almost every single rumor about this film was true.
Yeah, so technically yes, but if you want to count real spoilers, no.
No, I didn't see any of that. You warned everybody about the fan cams and stuff on social medias.
Yeah, it's pretty bad
Ash,
last night.
And I didn't see any of those. I didn't even see a hint of those anywhere.
I didn't see anything
I literally
last night,
today I opened up YouTube. One of the first videos was a thing from the movie.
Damn.
It's fucked up. What kind
I
of
still haven't seen
sick people want to watch this movie filmed on an iPhone in a dark theater?
Well, I can
and
tell
that's
you who,
coming
'cause it's one
from
of my
me.
one of my criticisms is that the whole movie is just going to be people like clipping out fucking specific moments, and that's what the movie boils down to. But I'll save my point.
All right. Ciaran, what did you think of No Way Home?
I thought No Way Home was pretty great, to be perfectly honest. I was a little bit worried about No Way Home just for the fact of there was a lot in the trailers leading up to this about kind of moments in this movie, but then it's like that was more Disney shenanigans where they edited the shit out of that trailer. Like, that trailer has so many scenes that have been kind of messed with this, Photoshopped to mess with, especially from that final act. There's a lot that is. I think one of the I've seen this criticism about the Tom Holland Spider-Man run that people were saying, oh, Tom Holland Spider-Man has it too good. Nothing bad ever happens to him. Everything in general is pretty great. Like, blah, blah, blah. So obviously, I feel like somebody heard that and they just like, all right, this movie, we're going to kick the absolute living shit out of this character and make sure that he is kind of hitting rock bottom, kind of. And it's like, well, fuck, okay. I think overall this movie's really good. I think this movie, for me, retroactively makes me hate or makes me dislike the original Raimi trilogy less. Just because I think some of the performances that Watts got out of characters from that series are much better than the Raimi performances. I think William Dafoe in this movie is fucking excellent. Like, I really enjoyed his Green Goblin performance, and especially seeing him play the Green Goblin more often without the stupid fucking mask. Like, just seeing his facial expressions more often were great. Like, when Peter's punching the absolute living crap out of his face, and he's just switching facial expressions, and he's, like, getting wackier and crazier in each punch was awesome. I think my only, I don't want to say gripe, but my only thing was, I think some of the pacing in this movie is kind of weird, or the ups and the downs are kind of fucking weird. Because we have this amazingly kind of hard moment of Aunt May dying and kind of...
it's amazing.
Like, we have this moment of Aunt May dying, and then you cut to the next movie where you introduced Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, and the audience, like, in my cinema, really started cheering and shit. I was like, it's kind of weird. It's a bit odd. Not gonna lie. It just felt like a really sharp kind of emotional U-turn at that point where everything was down for Peter and stuff like that. But it's a real minor gripe. I really enjoyed both Garfield and Tobey Maguire in this movie. Overall, I think this movie's pretty good. I can understand Dylan's points that he's yet to make or will make about there being kind of those Easter egg moments. I feel like this movie is a lot about closure and giving a lot of closure to characters from the Spider-Man trilogies. I was like, shed a couple tears leading throughout this movie, but the moment that got me was Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man saving MJ. I was like, damn, that hit way harder than I thought it would. But you know, the ending of this movie kind of fucking is really interesting and kind of really puts things in an interesting position that I'm looking forward to talking about later in the episode.
Dylan.
So I really enjoyed the movie. I enjoy it as an experience, and it's really weird because I don't even think this is a movie. This is a pop culture fucking smorgasbord of shit, right? And you either enjoy it and you get it, or you're going to be like very lost and like don't know what's going on, or like it's just too much. So I had like such a dichotomy around me that sort of like summed up a movie, and I feel like I'm like right in the middle of it. To the left of me, the dude who was just all about the moment, every like, that's Andrew Garfield, that's Andrew, you know, like every single thing was happening. He's screaming at the screen, like he was that dude, like very loud for the entire movie. And you know that's fine as long as you shut the fuck up after you do your little your thing. That's fine. I'm fine for that. Just don't talk throughout the entire movie, which he wasn't. In front of him, a couple rows up, you have a little kid who I think was into the movie for about the first 90 minutes. And then after that, he was bored as fuck once the other Spider-Man showed up. And I can only assume that's because he has no clue who the hell they are. And he was, I'm not even like exaggerating. He was fiddling. He walked up to go to the toilet like 3 times because I think he was bored. At one stage, he was like turning around, just looking at what everyone else was doing in the cinema. And I like dead-eyed him, just be like, sit in your seat, motherfucker. Turn around, look at the screen. All right. I know you don't know who these old men are, but they're from our day. You need to watch Tobey Maguire. But he was bored. He was fucking really, really bored. And yeah, I'd say he looked maybe 8 to 10, right? Next to me, I had a girl who turned up 10 minutes late and her friend had to go get her. Now, Green Goblin shows up. She goes, I hear her whisper, he died. And the guy goes, yes, but he's from a different universe. She's like, what's that mean? And then the guy goes, well, Doc Ock is dead too, isn't he? And she goes, oh, true. And there were several things that happened throughout this movie, like old comment, like, Lizard shows up. Is that a dinosaur? I'm like, that is the joke. You're saying the joke before they've said the joke. And then he says the dinosaur line on screen. I'm like, I cannot even make this shit up. So this girl was just like, I've watched the last 2. I enjoy these movies. I've seen, apparently she's seen the Tobey Maguire ones when she was like maybe years ago, but she was just like a little bit over it. And then I'm sitting there going, I'm having a good time, right? I enjoy the movie. However, I do not think that this movie will hold up on multiple watches because I think the entire movie is layered as a big surprise cake, which is why they don't want the bits to be spoiled. I think all of the emotional scenes are also heavily reliant on the other films. And I think that the current Spider-Man, our Spider-Man from MCU, is the least interesting or gets the least like emotional scenes other than obviously the death of Aunt May, which is his sort of big moment. But I think that the moment everyone in the cinema, you could tell it's like a palpable tension. Everyone's waiting for the Spider-Man turn up. Everyone's heard the rumors. Maybe they've seen spoilers. I don't know. But you could tell. As soon as they showed up, everyone's like, this is the movie we came here to see. Like it was sort of like, we're all aboard now. Let's fucking go. And then from then on, it's kind of like the movie centers around them to a degree. And it's like not even really about our Peter, I feel. So it's weird. I don't even know if it's a movie. I feel like it's such a pop culture thing. And it's weird because I like it. I will say I enjoyed the thing, watching it. However, I think if I was to compare this to the thing that most people are going to compare it to, which is Into the Spider-Verse shits on this, in my opinion, because that film always comes back around to all of the characters serving its main character, whereas I feel like this film serves to hit big pop culture, like references to other things or moments. Like Ciaran said about the thing, and I 100% like same, like him having Andrew Garfield save MJ, I teared up then, 100%. That's good. Like the film got me emotionally, but I'm still like, that is a moment tied to a completely different thing. Like you never have a moment like that Into the Spider-Verse. Like it all comes down to Miles, and I feel like that if that's the film that you can compare this most to, and I think that movie does the whole like using a multiverse to serve the one main character so much better. So yeah, it's good. I would say it's I would say it's my least favorite of the 3 though, because I just don't feel like it has as good as a story as the others. Once you strip away all of the fluff or the whatever, the wow. I enjoyed the wow. I just don't think it'll be as enjoyable the second or third time as the other films are. I still think they hold up. The test is you watch Empire Strikes Back. Does the film work if you already know that Vader says, I'm your father? Does it ruin the film once you've seen it? Does it still work? Of course it does. It's a fucking amazing film. Is this film going to be as enjoyable as many times as that sort of thing with all the reveals and moments? No, it's built upon those moments, which is fine. It serves for the cinema. I just don't think it makes it as good as some of the other Spider-Man movies.
I'm going to disagree as the person here who's...
Oh, I know!
Yeah, I was waiting for it.
I think I think it actually does hold up on the second viewing, knowing what's coming. And still, there's still that little bit of a high from you're sitting there, well, at least for me, you're sitting there with an audience that pretty much doesn't know what's about to happen. So you're waiting for those key moments. But I would say that the two biggest emotional moments of the movie are Tom Holland's.
Yeah, I would agree.
And, I do feel like it is Tom Holland's story. This is him really becoming the Spider-Man that we've seen more of, not the moneyed up, billionaire funded Spider-Man that we've seen over these three films, like getting to that and learning, like, sacrifice to a certain degree. It's like, obviously, over the last few films, he's been struggling with that thing of trying to be a student but wanting to be a superhero. In the first one, it's him wanting to be a superhero but having to be a student, being told he can't be a superhero. In the last one, it's him wanting to have a normal life and, like, get away from the superhero stuff. And it's this one that's kind of forced those two things together for a large push, like, obviously, the opening of the film and that kind of stuff. Yeah, I think it's still early days, but I think this might be my favorite of all of them. Just because, obviously, it feels like a conclusion not only to this trilogy, but to everything Spider-Man we've had so far. Especially with all the villains coming back. Obviously, Alfred Molina and Willem Dafoe, like, simply amazing. The other three get slightly shorter shrift. And that kind of stuff. But, yeah, and then, I think this is easily Marisa Tomei's best performance as Aunt May as well. I think, Zendaya and Jacob Batalon are great in this as well. I think my gripes are, I don't think the action is, like, super impressive. None of the fights.
It's the worst part of the film, by far.
Like, I think they're elevated because of the people involved in them. That's the only, like, other than that, they would be like, oh, this is, like, standard MCU kind of action sequences. And then it, like, borders on, like, being too fan servicey. Like, some of the banter and jokes, it's like almost going over the edge. It's like that kind of stuff. That yeah, I guess we'll kind of go through the movie. My
one other thing I was going to say real quick is that I'm glad that we did the Spider-Man rewatch, because I feel like that obviously helped
definitely
all of our enjoyment
and
of the film a lot.
If you just watched this, maybe you should do your own Spider-Man rewatch, just to remind yourself, and then you can go see the movie again, and you can listen along to all our episodes of All New Marvelcast Spider-Man Rewatch. You can find at SpoilerCast.com/Spider-Man Rewatch. All the episodes in one handy dandy place. Gotta make sure I do that later. So obviously we open the film pretty much straight after the events of No Way Home, Far From Home. Fuck these names. I'm glad that the next one is not going to be completely separate.
Did you realize you fucked up your tweet the other day and I didn't retweet it?
I assume that's why you deleted and retweeted.
Yeah. Yes. I didn't just retweet it.
I had the wrong name in the actual podcast title as well. So I
realized you fixed that, but it auto hyperlinked and whatever. But yeah, I wake up and it's like, oh, your Explosion Network's tweets like, oh, I got to check out Far From Home last night or something. I'm like, yes, we all could, Ash.
We all could,
so we obviously start off with that. He actually finishes the fuck, and then we, human Zendaya swing through the streets after they get mobbed by a crowd. Opening disappointment. They didn't have the sound effect of the guy who jumps at them or over a taxi hitting the ground.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was a big miss. They should have had that. Obviously that's a fun sequence, like him swinging around and him freaking out and going through the subway, because that seems like a good idea. Then, so this is like, must be like less than half an hour after the events, like after he's left the house, because Aunt May and Happy are having their breakup conversation that they started at the end of last film. Turns out everybody knows who Spider-Man is. Great opening.
I think this is one of my favorite swinging sequences in any Spider-Man movie. It just looks very, I don't know, like it just all looks very natural for some reason. I think this.
I think
like,
this and later on they've got the swinging through the along the power lines.
The power
lines,
that was really good
of that.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is. I will give it this. But those two are some of probably the best swinging, just straight up swinging scenes. Like even that close camera shot over the two of them, which I expected to sort of look fake because the close up stuff often does, but even that looked really good. So, but no, it's a good start.
So, then they have to kind of deal with people for the next few days. Damage control comes in and raids their apartment. Questions them. Actually, I can't believe that's the first time MJ has met Aunt May. That's kind of weird. Almost thinking they have having sex in his room. Then there, a lot of funny scenes in damage control. MJ being very skeptical and not budging, and then Ned just caving as soon as they think that MJ found out first. And then we get our first big surprise of the film.
You say
Charlie
surprise. He was like, I was like, yeah, I called this, but I'm glad it followed through.
Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock, Peter Parker's lawyer. Pretty cool.
It's a dumb cameo that serves only to really solidify that
Daredevil's coming.
That Charlie Cox is playing Daredevil in the MCU, and pair that with the fact that Time's Up, obviously after the episode with Fisk airs on during Hawkeye, that it's like,
there you
go, boom, confirm.
Do you reckon that carries over to Hawkeye?
I mean, maybe we'll find out next week, I guess. By the way, spoilers for Hawkeye, but come on.
Yeah.
No, I really, really like Charlie Cox. I was that first season of Daredevil's fucking mint.
He kissed his fingers. Yeah.
That's some good shit. So I'm happy he's back. But this was a very of course it's it is. There's really no reason it has to be Matt other than, and the whole catching the thing and the one liner of I'm a good lawyer or whatever. I was like, come on.
You know what? I appreciate that because it instantly goes, oh, he's already either already Daredevil or has that kind of caliber of skill. Awesome.
He's 100%.
But also, I appreciate that there was a downplayed nature to his arrival, having it just be sat around a table. I was waiting for him to burst into the interview room at the police and kind of take over and have a wow you with how him lawyering and stuff. It was. I will say the only disappointment from this as well is that I was kind of disappointed that it was instantly we started this in the movie, and then shortly after, Matt Murdock's like, "Oh, no, you're right. You're good. They got nothing. We're fine. Public opinion, you're fucked. But eyes of the law, you kind of screwed." I was a little bit more interested about them taking this on an angle of Peter Parker in kind of the similar direction as Peter Parker when he reveals his identity in Civil War, and kind of having that more open discussion with what being Spider-Man and the things he's done means.
It's lucky I didn't write this film. I would have had him go to prison. We would have had half the movie. It's just him and fucking Vulture in prison together. Would have been awesome. One of my complaints is I just don't understand why and how he. The movie just goes, you don't have anything, and then you as audience member supposed to go, all right, I guess they just
why
gave
do
up.
you just not do anything to try and prove that you didn't murder?
They do nothing, and apparently eventually the government just gives up, even though there's all this stuff saying they reckon they have all this proof, and then suddenly it's just
there's a really
so
weird
Nick Fury also tell us Nick Fury's been going around with for no reason, pretty much.
Yeah, that actually didn't make any sense because the whole thing I thought was that Nick Fury told Talos to pretend to be him so people thought Nick Fury was around. Yet that guy's Nick Fury hasn't been here for a year, so then that doesn't really actually add up. The whole thing was that he was pretending to be Nick Fury, right? To cover for Nick Fury.
Yeah, exactly. And
unless he was just focusing on big things, the Mysterio monsters. Elementals. Remember them?
Like it's just a very I think the government response, or like the official response from this world, is a bit up and down. Where they have this, but then later in the movie, like you would think some form of government SWAT team full on shoot Spider-Man. Like it's a bit all over the place. There doesn't seem to be kind of one obvious theme for how Spider-Man's really portrayed, and like of course there is the back and forth of people being for and against Spider-Man throughout this movie, but I think it's a little bit underplayed in like a strange way that isn't actually followed through anywhere through the rest of the movie.
Apparently they so after that they go to school, like, as normal. Obviously a lot of people crowding outside the school. Apparently there's Michelle superfans screaming and wanting to know if he's going to have his spider babies.
Kind of weird considering they're in high school. Kind of strange people. Why?
It doesn't surprise me. I also enjoy Flash desperately trying to pretend that he's Spider-Man's best friend, even though he's accused of murder. Even Flash's reaction when he sees the news that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, as they fly past him to go down a grate, which he doesn't notice at all. He goes inside. We get Martin Starr, JB Smoove, and Hannibal Buress welcoming Peter in. That's a good little comedic scene. And then clearly it wasn't a good day at school because they hang out on the roof later, and it looks like they're all planning to go to MIT next year. Definitely. And Ned is obviously the third wheel and doesn't realize it. Yeah, good times. Then we get kind of they move into Happy's apartment. That's important. Interesting place, Happy. And then, they will, like, kind of get, like, a flash forward with them waiting to get college admissions letters. Which they don't get because they're all involved with Spider-Man. Sad. They get that last MIT letter. They're super sad. They're hanging out at MJ's work. They've still got Halloween decorations up. Again, I don't know when this takes place.
Well, I assume this is still the same year, but like at the end.
Yeah, it has to be. Well, you think so?
Not to jump ahead, but I think the movie ends at the same time Hawkeye takes place.
Yes, because it is clearly Christmas. Because Spider-Man's clearly swinging around the giant Christmas tree that's in New York. At that point, so it does end there, and it skips from the start of the year when they're first going to school for their final year, all the way to the end of it where they're getting their MIT results and stuff like that, and we skip past their graduation at some point because that doesn't even make an appearance. I think it's interesting that this movie very much set the precedent very early.
I don't know. I think they're still in school.
No, because those two are going to. No,
they got their acceptance letters. It doesn't mean they graduated.
No, but the only thing that makes me think that. But you have to graduate. You have to pass your scores and everything to get your acceptance letter. You don't.
No,
get that.
People get like acceptance. It's like
it's just high school, isn't it? Or whatever.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, Spider-Man. Peter at the end of the movie has his textbook to pass his GED. Which means that he either wasn't able to... Actually, that makes sense. He wasn't able to graduate high school by the end of the movie.
Because everybody forgot him. Anyway, but jumping too far ahead. So it's sometime after Halloween. I would assume, based on that workplace, it's probably like a month past Halloween. And they've still got the Halloween decorations up. He's like, hey, that dude's got a goatee. I'm going to go see Stephen Strange. So he walks over to Sanctum Sanctorum. There's a blizzard in the place, or snowing. They've got the interns shoveling up snow, because apparently Wong forgot to do the protection spell to stop the seal from bursting open. Important detail. Wong is Sorcerer Supreme.
Hmm.
He's apparently got higher responsibilities. Even though last film we saw him staging fights in a fight club.
Gotta get that money, you know?
Although it does explain why he's the one who gets Shang-Chi. Because he's obviously the Sorcerer Supreme,
I mean,
so he's the top dog.
The explanation does make sense as well.
Yes.
So it's like, you can't even complain.
It's like, you got it on a technicality. So then we get Doctor Strange. He's like, really? You want me to bend time to get because your life got a little bit messy? And then he thinks, what I'll do, I'll make everybody forget that you're Spider-Man. Dangerous spell goes against the edge of the dark world, or whatever Wong says. You know, he just pisses off. Then they go
He doesn't say, as in the trailer, don't cast that spell. Instead, he just says...
There's a lot of stuff in the trailer that's
Don't
got
tell me
cut
about
and
it,
different
disappears.
takes. Like, there was no wink.
There's no wink.
Disappointing. They go down to the sub-basement or whatever it is that they used to cast all their spells.
I
And
will
also
say-
got shot an episode of 1987 Equalizer in there.
They did. Strange is far too prepared to do this spell for Peter. Like, far too, like, instantaneously,
bored.
like, let's go.
I would say he's bored. No major threats in the last 12 months.
He has no
once you've beaten a massive world universe killing alien, it's like, how do you top that? He tries to do the spell. Peter keeps interrupting him, coming up with reasons why different people should be able to remember who he is. The spell gets fucked up, and Doctor Strange has managed to contain the spell. Doesn't just stop it. Contains it. And then he tells Peter, it's a real shame that you can't go to college after you got rejected, and then you tried to appeal that decision. Then this failed, and turns out Peter didn't appeal. Try to convince them to give him another chance.
Which is, for him, very understandable because he's just a teenage kid. And
it's understandable why Doctor Strange would think that's a thing, because obviously he would be done a fair bit of academics, is pretty well off. So that would be something he would think of. I think that's very much a generational thing. It's like, we'd be like, oh, okay, they said no. Whereas someone who's of wealth and age was like, no, there's got to be other options. Let me talk to the manager. Very Karen energy. So Peter storms off to find the Vice Chancellor of MIT, who's in a car on the way to the airport, in traffic. He starts talking to her, gives a very unprepared speech, and then the spider sense starts tingling. First time we've really seen the spider sense in this trilogy, I think.
nope. Well,
The tingle.
well, no, I don't think. I think we have seen it before.
We've
Like
seen it
not
before,
Not this degree, I don't think.
no,
not
but
like
we've seen
this.
even like the. Wait, are you saying this trilogy to cancel out things like Endgame?
Yes.
That's a fucking.
Obviously, he gets the hairs on end during it.
I think he
Endgame.
does. I just think they've found a new way of showing it
Yeah,
that is a lot more obvious.
that's fair. Yeah. And Dr. Octopus comes barging down the highway looking for Peter Parker, asking where his machine is. Peter obviously doesn't know who he is and what machine he's talking about, but he's very happy to help. Dr. Octopus is not a fan of being asked. They have a big fight. Peter saves one family, gets thrown around a bunch. Then he saves the Vice Chancellor. Dr. Octopus is about to kill him. Tears a piece of his nanopiece suit, which then does transfers itself along his tentacles. I guess that's what saves Peter from getting stabbed viciously in the chest.
Well,
even though he got stabbed enough that his tie came off.
Yeah, but No. The
slightly
thing that
slapped.
stopped. No. The thing that stopped his thing from getting stabbed was that his mask went down to his chest. Like the nano armor from his mask turned into his chest piece, and stopped it, but not in time to save the tie.
Yeah,
for whatever comedic reason. And then he just links to Dr. Octopus's tentacles.
Like a Bluetooth, yeah.
Yeah, via Bluetooth. He's just...
Which is crazy, because Bluetooth wasn't a thing back in 2000.
Well, he was linking to the Bluetooth on the nanobots, so, you know.
And I guess the nanobots interface with the tentacles.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
You know? And then Peter can control the tentacles. You know? That's fun. You know? And then
I appreciated how helpless Octavius was, and like how he was just kind of chucking a tantrum while being moved around and used to save somebody.
Just throwing wild punches anytime he gets slightly into range, yeah. Then we get, you know, they're on the bridge, the Vice Chancellor says, "You're a hero, I'm going to give your friends and you a chance again." Priya's like, "No, it's just about my friends." He's like, "All of you." And then she gives Dr. Octopus a piece of her mind, runs away, and then we see Green Goblin start heading in their direction. But before they can have any sort of confrontation, Doctor Strange portals them away to the Undercrawl, or whatever it's called. I think that's right. We don't know what it's called. There
was a bunch of people in my theater who I swear had just wiped the trailer from memory, because as soon as the bomb slid along the floor, like half my cinema was like, "Oh my!" And I'm like,
"This was in the trailer."
Maybe people didn't watch the trailer.
It was in the trailer.
I had there was a cheer when the Green Goblin suit flew over, like when that, and I was like, "Oh, okay, we didn't exactly see that."
I mean, people got cheered. So. Well, my preview audience was like hyped for every single thing. So they cheered when the Octopus showed up. They cheered when pretty much every villain showed up.
Fuck Sandman!
So we're in this, dark dungeon place, and Doctor Strange pops out of nowhere. He's captured the lizard, chucked him in a cell, chucks Dr. Octopus in a cell.
Lizard got kind of done semi-dirty, and I was waiting for them not to have had the actor available to play him at first, because he was very silent, and then no, they'd got the actor. He was probably the lesser of all of the villains that were included.
Well, yeah. So then we get Doctor Strange tells him what's happening. These beings from other universes are popping through. Peter needs to go collect them while Doctor Strange figures out how to send them home. And Peter's like, "No, I need my friends." So that's when we get Ned
do this shit
and Michelle. Okay,
please.
We get hints. Ned's like, "Hey, I think I've got magic in my family. Sometimes my fingers tingle." Doctor Strange says you should check with your physician.
In case we forget, I want to laugh at in case I forget to mention it later, but there's that part where Ned says to him, he's like, "I would never turn into a villain and betray you," and it really hangs, and then Andrew Garfield puts his arm on. I'm like,
that's great.
What'd you do? What'd you do, Ned?
It's good. So we get the line from the trailer. Magic words, please. Then they go down into the Undercrawl, which is the laundry room. So then they try to figure out where they got to go. Good times. So at this point, also important, Peter's trying to clean his suit because his suit is damaged. He can't use that because it's currently holding Octavius from using
it's controlling
his tentacles.
Octavius, tentacles. Yeah.
So he's got his other suit, his non-nanotech suit, but that got splashed with paint. So the cool new suit that we've seen in all the trailers is just his suit inside out.
Yeah.
Incredible. So they get a lead heading somewhere in the woods. Yeah. Spider-Man flies off with, I guess, his cell phone strapped to his chest. So they can watch along. Comes along and he's got to fight Electro.
Can I straight away mention the one thing that annoyed me about Electro? You know how in Amazing Spider-Man 2, one of the main plot points is how Andrew Garfield has to figure out how to fight him because he's electricity and he has to like do all the things for his web to do it, like make sure he can fight him correctly and discharge and all this. Nah, dude.
Well,
Tobey Maguire
there's no reason.
The electricity is different.
There's no reason for but there's no reason because we've already seen that Tom Holland's web conducts electricity.
But how about Tobey Maguire?
But he gets fucked up. Bro.
That's Tobey Maguire is also he makes
his webs are organic, so you don't know what
you don't know.
He should
what
technically just get shocked, like when he's shot him. Like
the thing, I guess, the way
the thing was it stopped Andrew Garfield from using his webs because he blew out the battery or whatever. So and he would be fine. And I'm sure in Tom's suit they would have already. Tony Stark's a smart guy. He probably would have thought of that possibility, so he would have put some sort of failsafe in there before. I do enjoy him shooting the special portal magic thing. Mm-hmm. Just going straight through him
and getting a tree.
Which Ned is very sure is some sort of supervillain that's been turned into a tree, just to be safe. So yeah, then just when we think Spider-Man's gonna get fried, Sandman pops up. You do see him like sliding around on the ground before that, but yeah, he's like, "Hey, Spider-Man, remember me, Flint Marko? I was there when your uncle died. Let's team up to take down this electric dude. What am I doing here?"
Can I? Sandman is like my sticking point for the writing of this movie because his writing is all over the fucking place and kind of makes
I don't think
no sense.
He just wants to go home.
But he doesn't want to go home. Why is he trying to stop Spider-Man at the end then if he wants to go home?
No, he's literally trying to get the device so he can go home.
But he's working with the other douche canoes.
No, they're all just going for the same thing. It's coincidence.
I mean, to be honest, a lot of the fighting by the villains in this is just because they want them to fight. When you actually start to boil down, why are they really fighting Peter now that they figured out it's not their Peter? And why are they angry? The answer is, because they've got to be. Because they've got to be angry.
I feel like the rest
They've
of
all
the
got motives at the end.
Electro's motive is that he fucking really likes the energy
here
and wants to continue the power growing here, so he doesn't want to leave. Green Goblin's is he doesn't want to change, he doesn't want to lose Green Goblin.
Green Goblin's fine, he's a fucking psychopath.
Yeah.
Octopus is the tentacles don't want to lose control of him, and that gets sorted fairly reasonably. Sandman's I don't fucking have an idea about because I'm like, but he
Sandman, Lizard, and Electro I don't buy. The other two are fine. Even Electro
he wants to go home now
because him at the start, Electro loses his shit. Again, Electro's another villain who in Amazing Spider-Man 2 has done alright because they do make sure to play out the whole he's like a good guy on the inside and he's just, you have all these scenes where Spider-Man tries to talk to him down, he's acting fine and something sort of triggers him and then he goes off and he's like fight or flight. Whereas in this, it's just they play him off a lot more just villainy than he was.
The thing is, I think he
in
was
Amazing
already
Spider-Man
a villain.
2.
By the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2, he was the villain.
Yeah, it's because they were doing experiments and shit.
After they fucking tortured him and all this sort of shit.
Yeah, but that is the point. Because the thing is, right, about him, he is the only villain that didn't actually die to Spider-Man.
I mean, technically.
From what they were saying. Because from what he was saying was that he became pure energy.
MJ killed me.
No, he got turned. He wasn't going to turn to pure energy. He was just going to die.
Well, that's what
we'll get to that because there's an interesting question I want to raise. They fight it out. They somehow stop him through getting rid of all the electrical wires. He's not blue. He was blue at the start because Spider-Man calls him blue. But I guess whatever energy from this universe reverted him back to normalness, except, he's got a nice haircut and a goatee.
And he's ripped.
They just didn't want to do the blue
ripped.
thing. And they wanted a quick explanation as to how to get rid of the blue shit, so
yeah. I think what they also did is they just Jamie Foxxed Electro. They got rid of a lot of the...
But I liked the weird. That was one of my things. I like that.
I think he was no longer that character by the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2. Like, he was no longer the weird guy.
I don't feel like this.
But
is
I
the
don't
same
think
character.
torture turns you into a cool badass.
I feel like he's the least like his character from any of the other ones. Like even by the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2, I still feel like him and this is just more. I really like it here, so because of that, fucking shit, I'm a bad guy. Like, yeah, I don't know. He was the least like.
But the thing is, his post kind of once he's quote unquote cured, his thing was that his power made him somebody to him, like, and he enjoyed the energy and thought that would create him power, and he found this arc reactor.
I guess
that gave him more.
People do change when they get power, so.
And you would think that the energy is different in this universe because of the Stark towers and stuff like that, and Starks work with the energy for this universe that has changed it and made it clean energy compared to the traditional stuff.
I don't know if they don't. I think it's just all electricity. I don't know, but yeah. I don't think you can taste the difference. It's like,
I think you could.
It's like, can you taste the difference between a free-range chicken and like chicken that's been filled up with drugs? Probably not.
I think you could.
Yeah. So, Peter portals Electro back. Sandman freaks out, so Spider-Man has no choice but to portal him back. Then they all, Spider-Man checks in to make sure they've all been portaled back, and hangs around to make sure he fixes up his damage this time, because he doesn't want to get any more trouble. But he's tied them all together with spider webs, which we know disintegrate after like 12 hours. So in like 12 hours' time, the entire tower is coming down.
Maybe he left a note. Maybe he's like temporary fixed it, but he's like sent a message.
Please bring tape.
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
So then we get a bit of banter between a lot of the villains and that kind of stuff.
Can I say, this whole
You're
period
dead.
where
You're dead. You're dead.
This whole period where Alfred Molina is trapped in the cell, he's fucking amazing. Like, he's amazing for much of it, but like just even down to his like little waves and stuff and just his interactions, I'm like, dude, you're just having the time of your life, and I appreciate that.
I love I like the conversation between Lizard and Electro. Like, Lizard's telling him he's had a makeover, and he's like, I can give you a full makeover. How's that? Turn me into a lizard?
Yes.
Yes. Yes! It was the next step in evolution. So then we get a glimpse of Norman Osborn, the cowardly Norman, freaking out. And then we get a call from Aunt May saying that one of the people is at Feast, which I don't think we've seen in the live action.
I was about to ask this.
Yeah.
This is a thing where, reading between the lines, she sets up Feast between Infinity War and Endgame is how I'm taking it. That's my fan.
I thought, wasn't it Feast she was at? Yes, no, because we've already seen Feast. We saw Feast at the start of
no, that was
Far
for a
From
different
Home.
charity. That was for people who've been displaced because of the blip.
Maybe that's what Feast turned into? Like, turned out, like, got evolved
Maybe.
from?
This is the writers played fucking Marvel Spider-Man on PS4 and was like...
I mean, Feast has been a thing in the comics for the last, like,
I know, but, like, I feel like...
years.
Good pool video game.
Again, Dylan was pointing at the screen. I don't know if you know this, but this is an audio podcast.
Fuck it.
So Peter comes scrambling in to see his Aunt May, and there's good old Norman, freaking out, being sad, depressed, because, his house is gone.
Somebody's in my home.
Someone's in my home. Oscorp isn't real. My son. Oh, yeah, that guy. Peter's like, I'm just going to send them all home. And Aunt May's like, no, you should help them. They've all got problems. They're all lost upstairs as well as physically not in their right place.
Fucking Aunt May.
Okay. Setting the seeds for what Peter's going to do next.
Keep their mouth shut.
I mean, then we get Peter taking him to the Sanctum Sanctorum. Then we get all the villains, all 5 of them, the Sinister Five villains chatting. Octavius is freaked out because Norman's meant to be dead. Flint Marko points out that they're both meant to be dead. It seems like they've all been pulled from their timelines right before they're set to die.
Like a second before they die.
Which raises the question to me, did that also happen with Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire?
No.
No.
Why not?
I don't think they would do that, if that makes sense. I don't know. I don't believe so.
I think it was a freaky thought that came to my mind, but yeah. I think Sandman, and obviously we've seen Venom get transported to this universe, kind of shoot that theory down, but interesting thought that never occurred to any character that's like, oh my god, what if everybody's being pulled from the moment before they die? But yeah, Doctor Strange comes in, hey, we're going to send them all home to their deaths. It's their fate. And Peter's like, nah, can't do it, and steals the box. And then him and Doctor Strange have a fight through New York City and then through the mirror universe where maths overcomes magic.
Can I just a question, because it's something that's never explained and it kind of slightly annoys me that it's never explained. But why does Peter move his arm while his spiritual body is out of his body?
Spider senses, right?
Spider
is
senses.
it just spider sense?
That's what I assumed it was just spider senses, yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
I was just like, I wish there was like a concrete
because the thing of spider senses is like it's always implied that it's the reaction speed's beyond even his own reaction.
He doesn't actually think
it just happens.
It just happens.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah.
So again, cool sequence. Haven't seen much of the mirror universe since Doctor Strange, which is a crime. I think visually it looks really good. Then we get this is where I thought it's like, oh, this is a set at Christmas. We go through a shopping center and they're playing Christmas music. But then again, that could be any time between Halloween and Christmas. Because, they start playing that music really early.
November, it's free game.
November is free game. So Peter manages to trap him in the Mirrorverse, all webbed up.
I hated this.
What?
I hated this.
Why?
Because it's the Mirrorverse. Doctor Strange, Sorcerer Supreme, ex-Sorcerer Supreme. He's in there. He says to have full control, and Peter goes, literally fucking, I know science, bitch, and then web some rocks because pi equals 3.1762 or whatever.
But yeah, no, what happened is they crashed the Mirrorverses together, so you got quadruple Mirrorverse. So his power was slightly fractured.
I just think that was just Strange saying that he has full control was more just
bragging.
His arrogance. It was his arrogance and his confidence and cockiness coming through again. And Peter is the underdog and once again was able to think his way through the situation.
Bad booking, I think.
It's just the booking of the situation. Look, it's
going to
be
bad booking.
Listen,
it's a long distance feud. This is just the first match in a series of matches between.
You can have Spider-Man beat Strange in Spider-Man's turf, like New York City, but to have Spider-Man beat Doctor Strange in his hometown of the mirror universe, that's not good booking.
Just had to build the heat.
This is the old school roll-up victory that we saw. This is the Strange when he has it won.
Old school web victory.
Schoolboy roll-up.
Out of nowhere.
Done, dusted, Peter's out of there, clutching at the championship, running away with Goldie, It's, yeah.
So Peter's like, hey, let's all go to Happy's apartment. We're going to cure all of you. Because, yeah.
Which I think is a stupid idea.
I just don't understand, I don't understand the plot of this movie, ultimately, is another thing that and feel free
to
explain.
Peter's like, hey, I'm going to cure all of you because you've all had accidents happen to you which have caused you to become villains. And if we do that, if you get sent back, potentially you have a chance of not being murdered by Spider-Man, seeing as you won't be a threat anymore.
I think it's also somebody in the writing team, have gone, hey, it's kind of fucking dumb that through every one of the Spider-Man movies, Peter's just like flat out killed somebody, or the answer to the problem is just kill the villain off. They're like, in this movie, as closure to those, we're going to help, and like each of them has like an obvious way to help them and do that without killing them. So this movie is like, we're going to have some closure around that, and closure for, like, honestly, it is your problem with this movie is that it isn't about this movie, it's about all the movies, and you have to see every Spider-Man movie.
Doc Ock is good, quote unquote, when he, at the end of Spider-Man 2, right? When
Yeah, because Spider-Man in Spider-Man 2 does the thing that happens at the end in this movie, where he fixes the chip that's on the back of his neck.
So he's drowning, going, "Oh no!"
But this is he doesn't
now blips out.
He blips out. He blips out while he's straight. Yeah,
while he's choking Peter Parker. Like he isn't drowning yet. He hasn't gone through that morality change and decided to take his own machine down and sink it.
This is the moment before the tentacles die, is what we're saying.
So now they're saying that now they're rewriting Spider-Man 2 to say that the only reason he became good was because of what happens in this movie. Is that what you're saying right now?
No. This is changing that ending completely, because what they're
it doesn't change the ending.
It doesn't change because he would still die.
No,
like, everything would still happen the same.
We don't know what happens now. We assume they've created an
like,
alternate universe in which, he's good a couple of seconds earlier.
When he blips back, he might just stop choking Peter, and there might be a point where
they might have enough time to shut down the thing.
To shut down the thing together. Like, there is now the possibility, they now have an opportunity to not die. I think the problem...
How about like Green Goblin? He's going to get blipped back. He's supposed to get blipped back in right before the fucking his own machine.
No, we don't know. We don't know when Norman was blipped out. There's no telling when it's blipped out. It's just prior to the final fight.
And then if he's healed, then he won't stab himself. You would assume.
Like, you would assume he wouldn't be fighting Peter in that house to inadvertently kill himself. Like, he's now gone back to his own time to try and fix up everything. And, maybe that results then in Harry doesn't have to die anymore. And, like, this movie has just gone, we're going to rewrite a bunch of stuff from the old movies that we're never going to go back to. Like, I would almost put money on this is the last time we see Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield as those characters. Because the problem, I feel like somebody
until the end of the next trilogy.
Well, I hope not. Like, I think
somebody I'm going to put an asterisk on
until Into the Spider-Verse Part 2.
Okay, Garfield
we'll come back
yeah.
I'll come back to Garfield if you want, but Tobey Maguire, it's definitely not.
I feel like this is one of the things that somebody said is, hey, the thing that's always marred the legacy of this trilogy and Tom Holland's run as Spider-Man is that there is so much leftover baggage from the other movies that never got finished that have flowed onto this movie. So with this final moment of this trilogy, we're going to fix as much of that shit as we can, put as much closure into those movies as we can that we're never going to get, and then put Tom Holland in a position that gives him a quote-unquote fresh start within the MCU.
Yep. Yeah. So here we get Peter sciencing some shit, being able to fix Dr. Octopus. We get a bunch of banter between the different villains and that kind of stuff. I particularly enjoyed, Electro and Sandman talking about how they got their powers. Electro falling into a pit of electric eels, Sandman falling into a super glider.
Yeah.
Got to be careful where you fall, guys.
Yep.
Be careful where you fall.
I thought that was fun. This is where some of the meta conversations started happening. That I was like, guys, this is a bit too on the nose. And it just kind of spirals into a lot.
What you didn't love the? Do you want fresh water or salt water?
Look, no, I just thought that was funny. I thought that was funny. I didn't think that was meta. I just thought that was funny, considering in this universe, Spider-Man necessarily hasn't had his overt amount.
She never called herself Dr. Octopus. Why does she think he's Octopus?
Because of all the arms.
Yeah. Yeah. So Dr. Octopus is repaired. They go about fixing everybody else. They put the thingy on Electro. He's got this little timer thing that's being set off. Norman's like I will say, William Dafoe, amazing in this movie, purely because of the turn.
Mhm.
Like, you can, like, see it in his face and in his voice the moment he changes.
This is what I'm saying. Dude should not... It was like a crime that he was behind a mask so much in the Raimi movies for playing Goblin. Like, this is just such a better version of him.
So Tom Holland's spider sense starts going haywire. And then he realizes the Goblin's turned. And then, he talks about how they're gods. And if they want something, they should just take it. And that sets Electro off.
Minor point. It is also the dumbest shit that they thought it was okay to leave Lizard in a van outside. Without any form of, like...
Supervision.
Supervision.
He's not going to get out of, like, a van.
Security or anything. It was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Then all shit... It all goes to shit. Everybody's trying to kill Tom. May's trying to get outside. J.K. Simmons has showed up with camera crew. Dr. Octopus disappears. And Green Goblin's beating the shit out of Tom Holland. Pretty much.
It's a fucking actual wrestling match. I'm pretty sure he suplexes him, like, through several stories.
He does. He powerbombs him at one point.
Yeah. It was great. Like you said, they've got that sequence of Tom Holland, like, punching him in the face a bunch of times, so he just starts smiling.
This is the best fight in the movie, I'd say.
Yes.
I think so.
Best fight scene. Yeah.
But this is, like, also another section of, oh, by the way, Spider-Man's just going to get the shit kicked out of him again. Have fun, kids.
That's what happens, though.
Yeah.
Spider-Man gets the shit kicked out of him, regroups, saves the day. Everybody pops in. Even the Lizard comes, just get a couple of licks in. Telling him he told him there'd be consequences. And then May's at the bottom, trying to get out, trying to save him, stabs him with the thing. It's like, this is where your morality comes from. This is your weakness. And then, he flies in with the glider. We assume it hits May, I think.
Yeah, it does.
That's what kills her.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
she gets
stabbed
with the thing from...
Yep. And then to top things off, she throws a gob bomb as well, And then we get the moment between May and Peter, where everything seems fine. She's like, Peter's like doubting himself and like, I should have just sent them all home. And then May says the line, with great power comes great responsibility.
The shout outs to the dude across from me again. She says the line, there it is. Oh. There it is. Twice for effect he had to say, there it is.
The thing for me is, I kind of... I don't love her saying this. Like, part of me just wishes... I don't know. I kind of wish they just let Toby
say the line because later in the movie they explain everyone has an aunt or uncle who says the line. All Spider-Man.
Well, no, they don't because fucking Andrew Garfield's never had the line said to him. They had like a weird version.
Exactly like that, but yeah.
But the thing is, I would have preferred. I think it would have been. Maybe
you would have preferred her own way to say it, but
I would have preferred her own way of saying that, and then for Tobey Maguire to impart that knowledge from his own Uncle Ben to Tom Holland's Peter.
Mm. Yep. Then she needs to take a break. She needs to catch a breath. Peter sees the wound. We never see it. Interesting. I think for ratings
PG.
reasons.
Yeah. That's exactly
we just see blood on his hand and like she dies.
Yeah, it was a prolonged death though.
They hung around for a while.
Yeah, they did hang around for a while.
Yeah, I got teary. I don't know about you guys, but yeah, I didn't expect that.
I got
we always knew she was going to die, right? Because she's Aunt May. Like she's the Aunt Ben, so she has to die.
No, we all just assumed that Uncle Ben died before Civil War.
Oh. No, I've always assumed that she would have to die at some stage.
I didn't think she was going to die yet, though. I don't know. I still thought there was going to be more from her, especially with her just starting Feast and stuff, really, in our eyes of the movie. Like, I thought we'd see more of her and her work in the community and see her pop up in other works about New York and stuff like that in the MCU.
So, yeah. I guess we'll No more Aunt May. Until Spider-Man freshman year coming to Disney Plus sometime in 2023. Yeah, then, Happy drives up after, the DODC starts swarming in because J.K. Simmons called them in. Happy Hogan sees, Peter and May, and he's like heartbroken.
Is he just is Happy Hogan just in a ton of legal problems now? Like, he has to be
It's weird. Like, who's in charge of Stark at the moment?
Don't know who's in charge of Stark, but one of the big things at the start was hey, if you get found to have any quote unquote stolen goods from Stark Industries, you need a really fucking good lawyer. And then, he just has
Did he steal it, or was it gifted to him?
There's probably no proof of if it was gifted or not.
Yeah. Yeah, because he was... Now I think about it, he was probably fabricating everything that's in that condo.
Possibly.
Like those Patrick Ewing signed jerseys and stuff. Donkey Kong cabinet. Yeah. So then Peter gets... I assume they're using rubber bullets or something. Oh, no. Oh, the bullets bounce against his outfit. Yeah, he gets hit.
I don't know, but they flat out shoot Spider-Man, and I'm like,
they
what
do.
the fuck? Right.
I mean, it's not like he hasn't been shot before, or Spider-Mans haven't been shot before, by police officers. And then, he leaves, We cut to, obviously, we got J. Jonah Jameson delivering the news that Spider-Man's led another death, and we see Tom Holland standing in the rain. Ugh, brutal.
Can I just say, I love how much they made J. Jonah and now just fucking Alex
Jones, yeah.
Alex Jones in this universe.
Even with him in his own
his own little
home
green screen thing,
with,
just yelling and screaming, yeah. It's perfect though.
He's also got
exactly,
a studio, but yeah.
Exactly the type of person he is.
He is,
Alex Jones
yeah.
equivalent, yeah.
Also interesting that it's just where we were kind of umming and ahhing about if Jameson was from a different universe or something. It's just no, Jameson's from this universe, and he's
it's just that it's meta now, where it's like no matter what Spider-Man universe you're in, it's always it's always played by J.K. Simmons.
Yeah, yep. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. Yeah. So we cut to Ned and MJ, who've got the box.
MJ, look, by the way, if I was sat there for a while being like, MJ, if you saw this was happening, why the fuck are you just pressing the button? Just
because Peter said to wait for
her. Yeah, no, she explained that. I was like, okay, yeah, fair enough.
Even though she said she would just press it.
Yeah.
And then, Ned, with the sling ring on his hands, goes, oh man, I wish Peter was here. And a small little spark starts to show up. Ned can do magic.
Is that how the sling rings work now? Is you can just echolocate to people, I guess, now?
If you're magic like he is.
If you're magic like Ned, if you have magic in your blood, you get the tingles in your fingers.
Tingles in your fingers, yeah.
Yeah. We think it's diabetes. No, people have magic. Yeah. Then they're like, hey, we wish we could see Peter Parker. Open a portal, and there's a Spider-Man guy standing in the far distance. They shout out to him for Peter, and then comes up, and it's Andrew Garfield.
At what stage did your audience start screaming?
As he started running towards the
mine was literally
as soon as he took the mask.
Mine was literally Peter, and you see the dude at the end of the hallway turn around, and you see the different shaped fucking things. Yeah,
as soon as I saw the bigger eyes, I was like, oh, that's Andrew Garfield.
I think everybody clued in, but yeah, I don't think there was a massive round of applause until he took the mask.
There was the full thing. It was ah, and then everyone went quiet for a minute just so they could have a little bit of back and forth. And then once he ran through the thing and took his the hood or whatever off the mask, then everyone lost their shit again. I just like how there were several people around the cinema that for some reason had to yell, "That's Andrew Garfield!" I was like, "Yeah."
I laughed at the fact that every time they cheered for first Andrew Garfield, they would cheer and then realize they were missing dialogue from him. So everybody had to quickly
you hear a couple of people. But people would yell. Like, this is how I swear, but people like yell. They'll be like, yeah, yeah. And then they'll stop. But then someone in front of them still yelling. They'll be like, shush, please, shush, shush. Like they weren't just fucking part of the fucking cheering squad.
Yeah. Yeah. So then we get, a fun scene. Levity. Bit of levity to the movie. Mood improver of MJ trying to get Andrew Garfield to prove that he's Peter Parker and Spider-Man by throwing bread at him and then asking him to wall crawl around the roof. Shout out to Ned's Lola, who asked him to clean some cobwebs. Yeah. And then, they go, I guess we keep trying to get more keep wishing for Peters and hope we find our right one. And then, Tobey Maguire shows up looking like a youth pastor.
Yep.
Lots of cheers.
That's Tobey. And then for whatever reason, after all this, they go, oh, Ned's like, Ned should have been like, I mean, I can just do the whole portal thing one more time. They're like, no, let's Sherlock Holmes this shit. Let's figure out where he would be instead of just continuing and doing the third fucking hole.
I like the banter because it definitely seems like Tobey Maguire's like, I'm here for a reason. Somebody needs my help. And whereas it seems like Andrew Garfield's been just swinging around the city like, what the hell am I doing here? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get that. And like, there was almost the overly animated Spider-Man nature to Andrew Garfield's kind of entrance where, Tobey Maguire was just really kind of
chill.
A dude that you could tell at that point, Maguire's been doing, like, his Spider-Man's been Spider-Man for a very long time now. So it's kind of a normal nature for him. It's not kind of out of the ordinary or different.
Yeah. Crazy stuff happens to him all the time. So then, they're like, where's somewhere that your Peter would go if he needed to think about stuff? I used to go on the Chrysler Building. Emperor State Building. What's the equivalent of that for the MCU? The roof of Midtown High.
It would have been really cool if Stark Tower was still around and that was his place. I would have.
I mean, he's never been there, so, it made sense.
Yeah, that's fair. I think he was already kind of screwed after when he came into the MCU. They were
literally vacating it during his movie.
Yeah.
So, they all comfort Tom Holland. Then
these were my delayed tears for Aunt May, was at this moment where MJ and Ned run over and start hugging him and he starts breaking down. I was like, okay, I'm gone now. That's...
It's hard not to feel for Tom Holland. He does a very good job of getting people to emote for him, I think.
I'd say he's a good crier, but I'd say that up against both Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, I think he's acting like he's just out-acted in every scene against those two. Like, I feel like any scene with all three Spider-Men, the other two just shine so bright as more experienced.
Is that
actors.
because they're new and shiny?
No, I think it's just they're way more experienced actors.
I also think it comes off as those two being more experienced as characters as Spider-Man in general, as he's just still an awkward teenager. That he's just a little bit lost with these two kind of much more older and kind of experienced Spider-Man in the room.
Well, I don't know if there's a way around it, but I just feel like as soon as Tobey and Andrew show up, it's like with every scene they're in with Tom is losing like the who has the most attention.
The thing is as well, though, you've got to see it from the actor's point of view where this is...
I mean, that's the case of any of these legacy projects. Like, as soon as you bring back the original cast, they get the limelight more than whoever's in the movie currently.
And
you know what I mean?
Often because those
I don't
actors
even just think
like...
it's that, though. I just think, like, in general, they come off at way better actors. But in general, I don't think Tom's that great of an actor. I will put that out there. I think Tom's an okay actor. I think the best movie I've ever seen him in is one in which he plays a fucking child. So, and that's sort of what he's still good at playing. And anytime he's sort of trying to be a bit more adulty and things, it just sort of he can't sell it.
You just wait till Uncharted next year. You're going to be blind.
It's so funny though, because I think in everything I've seen him in, I just think he's an okay actor. Zendaya in this, I think, is bad. I don't think she's
Whoa.
very right. But it's funny though, because I think she's really good, and I think she's fantastic in Euphoria, right? So that's not me being like, oh, I hate her or whatever. I just don't think she's good in this. I think, especially like when I got to the end of this, I just not to skip ahead too much, but like her acting in the final scene, I was like, oh, that's rough. Like, and I feel like it's just the like sticking so hard to this MJ being like, I'm Daria, like that sort of like whatever this version of MJ is, that sort of tone, like it just like is so limiting in what she gets to do with her performance, and her and Tom just acting off one another. Just I still get very little chemistry from both of them, and I think they're Anyway, that's the whole thing, but
Yeah, so, then we get the... Tom gets the parent talk, pretty much the Spider-Man parent talk. After he's like, I don't care, I'm going to send them all back to your universe. They're your problem. And then they try to talk him through his feelings about Aunt May's death and that kind of stuff. Peter outright saying that he murdered the dude who we thought was his...
which is pretty dope.
His
Like,
parents'
other
girls.
Peter straight up ignoring that his Uncle Ben died.
It
My
is,
Uncle
but
Ben
I
died.
guess the thing-
My version of MJ died.
The thing is, I think that's more raw for
I think he
Andrew's
feels
character.
more responsible for that than he does for Uncle Ben's death.
Yeah, I guess.
Like,
It's
he
just
was
funny.
literally like he had the ability to save her on the spot, and he fucking failed. Like, he tried to save her and he failed.
Yeah.
Whereas,
Or he could have not put her in that position, as you discussed.
To be fair, Uncle Ben wouldn't have been out and wouldn't have got killed if Peter hadn't run away from home that night. Just saying. Like,
but I guess the difference is that maybe he's come to terms with that, where he's saying that Gwen's death is more raw. And I actually fucking loved Garfield's performance in this section. I was like, this is...
Yeah.
this
Because
is
I reckon some of that dialogue, super true.
Andrew Garfield's the second best actor in this movie.
Are you
After
saying the
Willem
first
Dafoe.
best actor is?
Correct.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Him saying he got bitter. I feel like that's so, that from what we've heard of what he said about his experience with playing Spider-Man, that probably is a little bit true. Then they decide to all team up, because with great power comes great responsibility. So they all break into the school. Thank God it's a fancy science school. And then they science up some shit. Some cures.
They do. It's like, hey,
This whole movie's
Garfield's-
like, maths, bitch. Science, bitch.
Stay in school, kids.
Yeah.
At the same time, every new character that comes into this universe is like, magic's real? What the fuck?
Which is really weird considering in the Tobey Maguire universe, we know there's a Doctor Strange. So figure that one out.
He's just a
He's
normal
just a-
position.
Yeah, exactly.
No, he's an actual doctor.
Yep.
Yeah. So, we get more fun banter between the different characters. Turns out Tobey Maguire and MJ work things out. Like you said, Ned gets told, that he asked Toby if he has a best friend. He died in my arms right after he tried to kill me. It's heartbreaking.
I love it that Garfield's also kind of like in the background. Doesn't outright say it, but he's kind of like,
Wow.
yeah, me too. Like, yeah, I've had that happen.
Oh, yeah. There's no talk of Harry Osborn's in this film.
I feel like that's done on purpose, because there is the only moment Norman tries to talk about Harry. He tried to visit Harry in this world, and he chokes up about it. So either something's happening to Harry in this world already.
Well, I mean,
or-
the thing I also take is that like Osborn tries to visit his house. He's like, someone's living in it. I just presume it's him from this universe. That's how I took that, to be honest.
But then again,
No,
he also
because
says
there's no
Oscorp.
Oscorp.
no,
Oscorp
but
doesn't
like,
exist.
just because
I
Oscorp
assume
doesn't
it's just
exist.
somebody else lives in that house.
Why can't he live there, but Oscorp doesn't exist though? You know what I mean?
I feel like
Well, it
any
seems more likely
universe-
that he would live somewhere else then.
I would think that any universe that has a Norman Osborn would have an Oscorp. Otherwise, that character is fundamentally changed in a way that I think goes beyond the multiverse distinctions.
Could be young.
So then they decide, hey, this is how we're going to get all these people to get us. We're going to go stay on the Statue of Liberty. We're going to call the Daily Bugle. They're going to put the word out, and all these villains are going to come at us. Yeah. So he does that. Then they have to wait a while. They have more banter. They talk about webs, organic webs for a long period. Even though we all know web shooters for life.
Thwip. But yes, I agree.
And they think they're making Toby. They think they're making fun of Tobey Maguire, but they're like, it's a weird thing that we don't know how it works. Does it only come out of your wrists? How does it happen? It's just like breathing, apparently. Did you ever have a web block? Yeah, I had some sort of existential crisis. What's the craziest villains you fought? Aliens, and Andrew Garfield's like, man, I'm lame. That a little bit forced, but
All I
I'm
fought.
not saying anything like these. I enjoyed all of this. Let me say that.
I
enjoyed
Tobey
all
Maguire
of
telling
these
him he's amazing.
conversations, but they're pointless.
He's amazing.
You're amazing. Say it to yourself. You're amazing.
These conversations serve only for fans of both Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield movies, and so much of this. Well, maybe that's exaggerated so much, but there is a chunk of time here dedicated to the fans of these movies, like getting moments with these characters, which is fine. I enjoyed it as fans of those movies, but I do think, like, again, little kid in front, bored out of his fucking mind.
I think he would have been bored out of his mind no matter what after 2 hours.
Would you think this movie?
Kids' attention spans are so short.
Do you think the movie would make more sense if this movie came out on a year that was denoted as like the 20th anniversary since the original Spider-Man or some shit?
I think the movie's fine. I just think.
But do you think it would have worked even more if it had been on an anniversary year? So it's kind of like the anniversary Doctor Who episodes, where it's just like we're getting everything back together.
I think the movie does exactly what it sets out to do. I just think that, like, I just think to have the positives, it just like kind of leaves with some negatives depending on who you are and who you are watching the movie.
Seeing as you brought that up, do you think keeping them out of the marketing was a good idea?
Yes, I do.
Yes,
think so.
Solely because of what I said before, where I think the movie relies on you not knowing and for those moments to be surprises.
But I also think
I fully expect in like 4 weeks' time they're gonna like put out a trailer with them in that.
Possibly.
They'll do what they did for Endgame, probably, where it's like go to the cinema to see it again trailer. I guess where they could spoil them having been in it, like maybe towards the end of its run. We'll see how it goes. But I think the reason they're out is because the movie relies on them being secrets.
But I also think that the marketing also relies on the rumors. Like the rumors help it a lot as well at the same time. Because people build up and get even more excited for this movie because people kind of know they're going to be in it without actually knowing.
Well, let me compare it to something else, right? Endgame. Cap, everyone coming through those circles, coming after the thing, and then on your left, and everyone coming through. I've teared up every time I've watched that because it is just it's built on the entire emotional ride of that movie and everything else. And that's such a one of the most loudest cinema moments I think I've ever had. And I think even though it was super loud, it still holds what is so important about that scene no matter what, each time you watch it. Cinema was super loud for these Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire moments. I feel like the emotional resonance wears off. So they have to be surprises.
Okay. So then we get, all the villains showing up at the Statue of Liberty. Spider-Man are trying to stop them all, but they all suck at teamwork.
I work for the Avengers, though.
Yeah, so Peter's like, hey, I don't want to brag, but I'm part of the Avengers. They're both like, what the fuck are the Avengers?
I think this is some of my favourite banter, though, because first Toby's like, oh my god, that's awesome. Who are they?
Who are the Avengers?
Who are the Avengers? And then just how excited Garfield Spider-Man gets about him potentially being in a band. You're in a band. It's where you think of how
he's a skater boy.
alluded, he was that kind of alternative music kind of skater boy character. It's really well written dialogue in that aspect.
Yep. Shout out to the writers. I think they did a good job finding the voice for both Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire in this film. Then they figure out how to work together. And they stop Sandman. Then, they try to stop Electro, but they're getting shot a bunch of times. Then Dr. Octopus shows up and seems like he's working with Electro. Then he double crosses him like a badass.
He does with Thanos. Fine, I'll do it myself.
Yep. Rips the arc reactor off him. Sticks him in with the other thing.
Which makes complete sense considering the original, use for those arms was supposed to be in harnessing the electrical power of the sun. It's and that's what the arc reactor does, so...
Meanwhile, the lizard has noticed that the portal that they threw the MacGuffin through is currently open. So we get a slight callback to Amazing Spider-Man where he's destroying a room in a school.
I thought for a hot second that they were just going to let the camera sit there and have them fighting in the background as a proper callback, but not quite.
I was waiting for them to... If
Stanley had still been alive, this would have been the moment.
I was waiting for them to fight through an empty library, and I was ready to feel really fucking sad about that moment.
If Stanley was still alive, 100%, it would have been they would have done an insert scene of them swinging through the city together or something, and him being
they were bumped into him or something.
I thought there was only one Spider-Man, or some random...
Oh, no. I think he would have done a I'm proud of all three of you moment or something like that. Like a weird kind of meta Stanley...
No. It would have been a post-credit scene. There would have been a fourth Spider-Man swing in. Pulls off the mask at Stanley. Yeah.
We'll say, minor point.
We can all wear the mask. We can all wear the mask.
Oh my god. Recently been super disgusted with the Stanley Twitter account that's currently trying to sell NFTs. And I'm like, that's fucking disgusting.
It is.
So, they kind of stop the lizard after Ned opens another portal, which was under the ocean, maybe? I don't know. There's a bunch of water coming through. Then he accidentally releases Doctor Strange from the Mirrorverse. And he is pissed.
It's fair.
So he is... Even though, Peter's plan's working, he's saving all of them. They just cured Dr. Connors. He's fine. Interesting, they always shoot him from the shoulders up. Didn't have enough money to show his missing arm again. He's like, no, this is it. You're all going home. And then the Goblin comes in, steals a thing, puts a bomb in there, blows up the MacGuffin, destroying the multiverse. Rupturing the multiverse.
Wait.
So then that causes the shield to fall down off the statue. And this is also where MJ gets bumped off the building. Peter, Tom goes and dives to save him, like they show in the trailer. But then he gets caught by the Goblin Slider. So Andrew Garfield jumps out and saves MJ. I'm assuming your audience has all had a great reaction to that.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. Even on my second viewing, someone was screaming out before that, "Go get her, Andrew!"
Yeah. So the loudest person was this girl on the complete opposite side of the cinema to me, who I hadn't heard at all. Well, I don't think I had. And I just hear a squeal as soon as he as soon as he swings out and grabs her, just a full on or something else. Fucking right. Okay.
He's just realized he can't just lazily throw a web towards her to catch her. He has to go down there himself and catch her. But once again, Garfield after the catch and when they're kind of my god, I was like, dude. This couldn't be any more fucking heartfelt than it is, then holy shit.
I mean, it could have. What if, what if during this entire movie, what if Ned and Gwen hadn't broken up with the last film?
What if this entire movie, I'm just thinking about how much I wish I still had Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man instead of Tom Holland.
Wow.
Damn. Damn. You really be hating on Tom Holland.
You really hate Tom Holland, yeah.
No, I just think he's okay. I'd much
we'll get to it at the end of the film.
Andrew Garfield's my favourite one, I think.
yeah, so that was emotional. Yeah, and then, Tom Holland and Green Goblin end up on the turned over shield on the edge of Ellis Island.
Mhm.
Yeah, and Tom Holland's pulling no punches with the Green Goblin, who's shit talking him, beating him so bad, does a full German suplex, I think, at one point.
He fucking does. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy. Which maybe that's the move that gets pulled from the video game. Apparently, something gets pulled from the video game, I believe.
It did look very video gamey, that moment.
Yeah.
It also made me think like how I was like, oh, they just did like a full combat move without cutting the camera. That's crazy concept. I can't believe they did that.
Even like I love the punch that misses but hits the shield and like dents it. It's like that might be the greatest show of strength.
Fucking like 200 power. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's got him dead for rights, pulls up the glider, is going to stab the fuck out of him. And Tom Maguire says no, doesn't say anything, comes in, stops him, just looks at him like a disappointed father. Just when Tom Holland puts down the glider, stabs right in the back. Bloody goblins. And then, Andrew Garfield, who's been standing to the side this entire time while this has been happening right in front of him, throws Peter the serum. Tom Holland stabs him in the neck, and he's cured.
I know it's probably not a surprise at this point, but I didn't like this either. So only because I just really wish Tom Holland Spider-Man had have stopped himself, and like that was his lesson.
I 100% agree. Yeah. I was waiting for him to like throw the glider.
I don't want any Spider-Man interrupting him. I don't want Toby. I don't want Andrew. I don't want no one. I want him to just do that himself, because I feel like the other two Spider-Men have had that similar moment.
I think,
and they stopped themselves from doing things.
Did they though?
Eventually they do.
I feel like them stopping him has not resolved this issue for him.
No, it's just a moment for Toby. Like,
I think what he does next resolves it.
No, I just think it's a moment for Toby. I feel like he then gets to make a decision on his own, which is him choosing to sacrifice everything by having everyone forget him. I get that, but I still feel like I still would have preferred him to just have both. I just personally, but
okay. But yeah, obviously Doctor Strange's like, no, I can't stop this. It's all gonna die.
It's all coming through. Someone's going to pause on that and figure out all the characters there. All I spotted was
there was
Scorpion.
definitely a Rhino, like the proper
Rhino, yeah, like old school Rhino.
And
like
a Kraven.
Yeah, Kraven. Yeah.
I think that might have been it.
I thought I saw like a Scorpion, like a
yeah, you said Scorpion, so I didn't say it again.
I thought you didn't say it because you're like, nah, you're crazy, you didn't see it.
No. Yeah, then, he's like, what if everybody forgets Peter Parker?
We're talking about Spider-Man No Way Home.
What?
What if it's a Disney Plus series?
It's late. Yeah, so Peter's like, hey, what if you do the spells like we originally intended, get everybody to forget who Peter Parker is? And then it's like, Doctor Strange showing emotion. Everybody, all the people, everyone you love, we. And then he stops himself when he realizes, and then he just continues saying, like, we will all forget you.
Also, Benedict Cumberbatch, fucking this one moment, I'm like, okay, you earned your paycheck for this movie, you were fucking amazing in this moment, and I love that. I love the duality of this moment for Peter, because we've had so many of these stories now about how Peter has to choose between one or the other, and it always ends up with Peter choosing that he just has to live with both, and that he has to live with the and doesn't actually. Where this one, it's like hard, like choosing to just delete Peter Parker and just to be all about Spider-Man, and I think that is a really fucking amazing choice, and a choice that I'm now really excited for going forward in the MCU.
Yeah. Yeah. So obviously we get Peter saying goodbye to the other Spider guys. he can't get the words out because, you know, he's so filled with emotion. He's got so little time. He doesn't know exactly what to say. They're like, hey, we know. We're cool. Then he hugs, and, you know, they go off, and the last thing we hear, Tobey Maguire says, I'm in a lot of pain. It's probably true. You know, and then obviously we get Peter revealing the news to Ned and MJ. I don't know how you could not feel sad watching that. Dylan, cold-hearted. It's like, this acting sucks.
I didn't say it sucks. I just said that it's not. I feel like her, like the.
You want to see good acting? You watch Euphoria. Emmy award-winning Euphoria.
Fucking.
Well,
right.
you know what? Because of this decision, we're probably going to see more Euphoria.
Fucking.
She hasn't got to go shoot a Spider-Man movie every 2 years.
Watch fucking Euphoria. I feel like the direction, like, because I assume it's a directed choice, not a her choice. But I just feel like she's so committed to that, the way MJ's like is, that I feel like it limits her emotional capabilities.
Man, she's so much like the character. She's acting so much like the character.
Damn,
it's distracting.
And
Why
Tom
isn't she
Holland's-
acting like a character who isn't the character?
And Tom Holland isn't the best actor, and he just doesn't work.
I
just think it's fine.
I think a lot of people are going to disagree with you. So, yeah, that's super emotional. You know, they kissed one last time.
I'm used to that for these Marvel
He
movies.
he makes a promise that he's going to tell them after everything, tell them the truth and everything, you know, and then Doctor Strange finishes the spell, and then he swings off somewhere.
Well, he just wants to get away.
The island is completely surrounded by water.
No, there's those random like poles throughout the. You know what I mean? Like the random, he calls out, "Hey guys, it's time to fucking move your fucking cranes over the water."
All these tugboats come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Spider-Man needs our help.
Spider-Man coming through New York.
Then he shoots himself across every tugboat until he gets back to New York City.
That's fine.
It's crazy. Yeah. Then we get a jump cut to a few weeks later. Peter's, walking around the street. Apparently, everybody doesn't remember who Spider-Man is. J. Jonah Jameson's like, why is he such a coward? Was he wearing a mask all the time to reveal his identity? Peter goes to MJ's workplace, preparing a letter. It's like, she goes in, Ned comes in not long after. Apparently, they both got into MIT. Peter looks happy. He tells MJ his name is Peter Parker, and he would like a cup of coffee, please. I'll really enjoy this scene. I think it's got multiple layers. I feel like there's multiple times you could see that Peter was going to tell her, and then he changes his mind several times through that conversation. Like, I think the thing that caps it off is obviously he sees she's still got the wound over her head. It's like, no, they're better off without me.
But there's that moment of she still has some recognition or some kind of feeling of something there.
She's got
I don't think
tingles.
I think she's definitely in the next Spider-Man movie. Like, I don't think this is the end of her character whatsoever. Because to be honest with you, I felt kind of not robbed, but it was weird that kind of at the end of Far From Home, they started this relationship, and then we kind of missed a massive chunk of the relationship because of the time skip. So, I don't know. I feel like there's definitely going to go back to them being together, and it'll work its way back.
I just don't think it'll be straight away. I think we get another 3 films.
God, no.
There's the opportunity to explore different love interests.
You reckon they're going to go to Gwen now?
No, fuck no.
No, it won't be Gwen.
No shot.
The obvious next choice is Black Cat.
Which I would appreciate.
Because then they can spin her off into her own movie like they want to.
Hey.
Yeah. So, yeah. That's the, Peter gets his own apartment.
Piece of shit place.
Piece of shit place. Rent's due, start of the month. He's got that one figure from the Lego set. He keeps. And then he sews his own Spider-Man outfit.
Damn, this suit's amazing.
It's very shiny.
This suit
cool.
is really fucking cool. Like, I've been a fan of all the Tom Holland suits, but this kind of going all the way back to
feels like very amazing fantasy 15 almost.
Yeah, like there's just that, like the blues and the red go. I'm like, this is fucking yes. I can't wait to see this. I can't wait for, part of me is semi hoping that he appears in Hawkeye, but I don't think he will, just because
no, he'll just swing by in the background.
Possibly.
There'll be,
but yeah.
When he I swear I've seen that skating rink in like one of the scenes. I think during that's where they end up, like in some of the trailers. So I'm not sure.
Okay.
But yeah. But he's swinging past in the day where I think it's set during the night there. So yeah. Interesting though, coming back to Christmas again.
I just think this is the movie that has...
I forgot the other important scene that they finally included, It's not a Spider-Man series until Spider-Man visits a grave. I was sure that for a second I thought, wow, they're going to end it here. Like three of the last 5 films. Yeah, he and Happy have a moment. That was sweet.
I think it's really sad that Happy and him no longer know each other. Like, that shit hurts. I really liked their relationship. And
Jon Favreau's like, thank fuck I'm done with the MCU finally.
I think Favreau loves
now I
the
could
MCU.
do nothing but Star Wars.
Now I'm on the Star Wars, yeah. 24/7, I can devote all my time, finally.
No, I think you'd loved it. But yeah, I mean, it raises a bunch of questions, like how do people remember Endgame happening?
Well, there was Captain America and Thor and the Green Guy and
who gives the Infinity Gauntlet to the
No, Spider-Man still exists. No, Spider-Man still exists.
Spider-Man, that's true.
Everybody still knows
so he
Spider-Man,
believe he wore his mask the entire time they're on that spaceship.
Nobody knows him as Peter Parker, which makes me so fucking excited for all of his interactions with the Avengers, because I think one of the things that made it different was the fact that he was kind of so open with everybody about his identity to everybody, that everybody kind of knew, and that makes it a bit more personable, a bit more treating him like a younger kid. Now that they don't know, I'm excited for this to be more akin to Spider-Man interactions from the MCU, from the actual Marvel comic books, where Spider-Man is just a bit more of a more of a figure rather than just being some kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely can. So yeah, it ends on like a melancholy note, I guess, more than anything else.
Took them 3 years to get to the stage that the first Spider-Man movie got to in 45 minutes, Come on.
I mean, he was living with Harry, so that's a bit different. But yeah, it wasn't until Spider-Man 2 that was living alone in a shitty apartment. Somehow he was afforded like a multi-bedroom place, even though everybody's forgotten him, and I assume he didn't get left any money or anything.
No social security.
No high school diploma, apparently.
No high school diploma, yeah, nothing.
It's like crazy. But yeah, kind of down a note, but he's Spider-Man still.
No kind of outside support from anybody in terms of like a Tony Stark or anybody like that. It's all stripped back now.
Yeah. So I thought it's very Spider-Man. It's like, he very much wins, but, and at an own personal cost.
Well, he lost everything.
He lost everything. It's so interesting. It's like, especially on the, like, he doesn't have Aunt May. I think that's probably kind of the thing that rocks him the most.
He has no emotional support. He has no...
I mean, it's funny because I was obviously setting up that Spider-Man rewatch article with our notes for this run of Spider-Man, and one of the notes is, we finally get a Spider-Man with actual friends. Now he's got none. Yeah.
Also, shout outs. I just remember something, the other like random thing that I heard people around me whisper, which was when after they turn Electro back, he's like, I just want to be somebody, and he's like, you was helping out around the block or whatever. I thought you was a black Spider-Man, and maybe be out there somewhere. And then around me, hear like 2 people like whisper, "He means Miles Morales." It's like,
No,
It's like-
that's
it's like, no.
guys, that's not what he meant. He meant Donald Glover.
Yeah. Or if we'll ever come back to that. What a fucking... That by the fourth movie.
Should have cast Donald Glover. Yeah, a couple of good lines and that kind of stuff.
Man, bring Donald Glover back and have him play, what's the fuck? Prowler,
I mean, potentially down the line. Yeah. Anything else you want to discuss from the actual film?
No, I love the point this movie ends at. I think this now ends at what feels like a fresh point for Spider-Man. Like, for me, it does feel like it's just... We've now had closure on 2 Spider-Man series that didn't really have full closure. We've got kind of closure on this section of Spider-Man's life. And now Spider-Man feels fresh to go further in the MCU and to continue to grow as a character. And we're going to have Tom Holland as the Spider-Man for a very long time.
Yeah, alright. After credit scenes, very much unrelated to Spider-Man.
I feel like the first one definitely is.
Is it? Yeah, potentially. So we cut to Tom Hardy in Mexico. My audience popped when they saw Tom Hardy.
Mm-hmm.
I sat there going, oh yeah, he got moved to this universe. That's right.
Just for this bit. Just for this bit. The funny thing to me is the person who must have been behind me, they didn't go Venom. I heard him go Tom Hardy. I'm like, what did you say? Should like Venom?
But it's just like, it's almost like when they were doing Let There Be Carnage, Marvel was like to Sony, hey, if you put an after credit scene at the end of your movie to say, you know, we are...
But this is Sony's movie though, is the thing. Like,
yeah.
Then it's so yikes. Why is he just not in this movie? Like, it almost feels like...
Because it makes no sense for him to be in this movie.
Exactly, so it makes no sense for him to have even been transported there.
It's to get people who like Venom to go see Spider-Man thinking that Venom will be in the movie.
They literally blipped him in to go have some symbiotes and then blipped him out.
Fucking hate that he is the reason. I hate that he is the reason that there is symbiotes in
the MCU.
The MCU. Because then it's like, oh, okay, so now there can't be other symbiotes in the MCU.
Wait until they have like someone from the multiverse, like fucking, they blip in a Wolverine and he like drops some of his DNA somewhere, and that's how you get
drop some of his blood, and then they get
the X gene.
Like, it's just, I'm just like, come on, guys, really? There's better ways to do that storyline.
I mean, it's fine. I mean, the little things in Mexico. What's going to happen? What could possibly go wrong? So obviously Tom Hardy has been drinking this entire time, trying to, as people will explain, the heroes of this world. As Christos Fernandez from Ted Lasso tells him what's up with this world, and apparently Venom thinks the Lethal Protector is a better name than the Hulk. I don't think so.
No,
well, I think he's drunk too. So yeah. After suggesting they go skinny dipping, he gets ported away, and little tiny blot of symbiote stuff is there, and then moves a little bit as the camera cuts.
All I can tell you after watching this scene, my first thought between this and like the next, like the end credit scene, I'm just sitting there trying to wrap my head around Morbius even more. Like, that is all I was thinking about after watching this end credit scene. I'm like, okay, so they blipped Venom in, but then blipped him out. Okay, so now he's back in his own universe. 100% confirmation there's separate universes. MCU now has symbiotes. Whatever, that's a thing. But then I'm sitting there going, Morbius.
No, he's in the Venomverse.
Morbius has references to Venom
MCU.
and has fucking Vulture in it.
Morbius has to be in the MCU.
It has Vulture in it.
Has Vulture in it, and there is pictures of Spider-Man in that
Listen,
movie.
J.K. Simmons is in every single Spider-Man universe.
Nah,
there can be multiples.
We'll see, but that is what I was thinking about. I was like, I watched this vapid in 1 year out the other, and then I just sat there for the next 2 minutes going, where the fuck is Morbius set?
No, the Venom universe doesn't have a Spider-Man.
Maybe the Vulture's purely in that clip. Maybe Michael Keaton's in that trailer purely to get people to go see it, thinking it's part of the MCU.
100%.
He's not actually in the movie.
He's 100% in the trailer, as well as those placements of Spider-Man graffiti, to get people like me and whoever else go, I don't know if I really want to watch this, but is it connected? I should probably see it in case it is. You know?
Yep. Definitely interesting. And then at the very end of the trailers, we'll say, bit of a psych out. They'll like roll the credits and then it goes to black screen. And then the Sony logo comes up.
Someone booed in my cinema.
Yeah.
I was like, just
wait a second.
Yeah.
Then it's our first look at Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Pretty cool.
I wonder if that's... I don't think they'll release this on its own, but like it's just like a teaser.
Not for a while.
Released on their own. I think that'll be the first trailer for the movie.
Nah, surely they'll do like an actual trailer.
Trailer?
Surely trailer. But, so...
Because they actually put the name of the film at the end.
Yeah.
It's just Doctor Strange will return.
Yeah, they don't actually... it's funny they put the name. But we get to see Wanda at a house, a la the end of WandaVision, which...
Different house, though.
Is it a different house? Or
but it's certainly not sound... Yeah, she certainly wasn't surrounded with an orchid.
That's true.
Unless she's grown that in the years since.
It could be years later, though, so... or at least a year later, if that's set directly sort of straight. If WandaVision set straight after Endgame, like 6 months later, and then she goes straight
it's
there.
Like 18 months.
Yeah,
like
then Doctor Strange and the whatever of Madness would be set probably 2 years, maybe, by the time that's out. So there's time. Yeah, I think it looks good. I don't like this as an after credit scene. Like, not just this, but in general, I would prefer the after credit scenes to be solely things that are just like special for the movies. I also didn't like that one where they had that clip of Kat punching the punching bag, you know, and then that was reused in the movie too. I want good, fresh, new shit that's just for end credit scenes. I don't want any of this fucking trailer stuff.
I don't know. I kind of like the idea of them that being the
I
new
think
thing,
this makes more sense. This is the better option.
Nah.
One, it gets people to go see the movie, so they get the trailer for the next thing.
But you also, yeah, exactly.
But you do get like an end credit. You get a mid credit scene.
No one is.
Most of the end credit scenes
Can I just
have been
rewind?
like a bit.
Did you just say so people go see the movie? So there's someone out there who isn't
Listen,
watching
cinemas
the
are
MCU
dying.
movie that's sitting for a 2.5-hour MCU movie to watch a teaser for a different MCU movie.
Yes, all these girls went to watch Eternals to see Harry Styles.
That is not the same fucking thing, and you know it. No, you don't need a trailer at the end. Everyone's going to watch them anyway. You don't need trailers. It's fine. No one's going to watch an MCU movie for a trailer. They're just going to watch the MCU movie because it's an MCU movie. But yeah, also shout out to the What If crossover at the end, I guess.
I don't know if
I
that is
think
the
I
What
was
If
going to
one.
wonder.
I think, but there is like imagery from that
Yeah.
episode of What If.
Wouldn't that be crazy?
Like the monsters and
seems
stuff.
Like,
yeah.
it seems like no, because I think it seems like Doctor Strange, where he's meeting that version of himself, is wherever he's like locked in that parallel dimension or something.
I hope it is a crossover. I think it would be.
I think it is. I think it'd be sweet if it was that version of Doctor Strange.
Can I also say my other thing with the multiverse at the moment is that in my head canon, until proven otherwise, I'm still saying if the events of Loki don't happen, the events of this Spider-Man movie don't happen. So I'm currently headcanoning that because they were keeping the timelines as one,
Because
that Doctor Strange could have never broken them without them already having broken that open,
Yeah.
which then allows
If-
Doctor Strange to fuck up the
if
spell.
he who remains hadn't
Yeah.
been stabbed, the spell
Yes.
would have worked as intended.
Yeah.
Yes. Are we aboard
And-
that? That's my current headcanon.
Yeah, I'm on board with that.
I don't know. I think.
Then what's the point of all that? Like, there's only so many people fucking up with the multiverse I can have without actually having one person, like, having some sense to it all.
I don't know. I think it's such a complicated thing. They think you won't care.
I fucking care, all right? I'm not watching
care a
all
lot.
this I'm not watching all these million movies and TV shows not to care.
I think the more interesting is like Steven's not going to remember why he did the spell.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
It's like, why did I fuck up the multiverse? Also, shout out to Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Yep, that's it.
Chiwetel Ejiofor?
Yep.
Looking dope in this trailer. As what's his face? Definitely coming to kill Stephen Strange.
Yeah, I don't think they were bringing him back for this. I thought that was going
Well,
to
I
save
don't
him for
think
like another movie.
I don't think he's out to kill Stephen Strange. I think Stephen Strange goes to him to try and help him.
Yeah, but no, he says the source of all the problems is him. So,
but he doesn't mean him. He means this
so
other
he needs
dimension.
to get rid of him.
I don't know, but yeah, it is. I think it's an interesting way to finish this. Kind of have a second credit scene be a direct lead into the next movie.
Yep. All right. I guess Tom kind of let the cat out of the bag, where he's like, "Hey, I'm doing another trilogy, maybe." They've kind of walked that back in the days since, but
because in the lead up they kept being like, "Oh no, this might be his last one." So I think I was trying to play it like, "Oh, hush hush" or whatever.
But yeah, do we expect another Spider-Man movie?
Yeah. Do you know how much money this is about to make? Do you know how much money this film is about to make?
So we're going to be back in 2023, is what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, at the
probably 2024.
The other day they said that it was currently, at least in Australia, on set to match and potentially outpace pre-sale tickets for Endgame. And that's only pre-sale, so, whatever, we could see the full thing. But still, that says something to me. This movie's going to make a lot of money.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, yeah. What do we want from the next movie? I mean, it's going to be interesting.
I want this to evolve into more of the Spider-Man we get from the PS4 Spider-Man game. Like, to morph into that to morph Peter further into that character, not in terms of writing style, but in the position in his life. Now that he's by himself, he is kind of doesn't have to juggle his life at school, he's not having to juggle his life as Peter Parker as much, and going from there and having some more villains show up, have Daredevil crossovers, have Black Cat appear, have all those kind of Spider-Man-y things happen in this movie and continue to grow, because now Spider-Man is aware that these larger-than-life villains are appearing in other multiverses, so they're going to end up appearing in his verse. And I think this is an interesting thing to know.
Yeah, I'm keen for that. What I think and kind of hoping is that his next film involves him and the Fantastic Four. Because obviously in the comics they've got a long history of working together. That he's almost the de facto fifth Fantastic Four member. That would be an interesting way either to introduce them or to further use them. Obviously because Jon Watts is going to be moving over to Fantastic Four going forward probably.
Do you think he is part of the Young Avengers with Kate Bishop and Yelena?
No.
He's not considered young.
I think, yeah, I don't know if they're going to be Young Avengers, especially Yelena. I think there's talk of Thunderbolts for a few people.
I would much prefer them to set up Black Cat, Daredevil, just all the small intertwined New York people with Spider-Man and stuff, rather than so I'm thinking the opposite end to you, I guess. You're like Fantastic Four, fucking top of the block MCU sort of thing, and I'm like, no, I just want some smaller.
No, it would make sense. I need a place to work now. He starts working in the back of the building.
You can set that up in the first movie. I mean, introducing the Fantastic Four via the next Spider-Man movie would be a move, but otherwise, I'd just like to get down to some. Let's just he's had the whole world refreshed on him. Basically, we're back to
it would make sense because now he's got no money. It's he's got to scale back a little bit.
We're sort of rebooting now, so it's let's just take a step back and let's go to a more grounded villain or something. I don't know.
Yeah, even if it's like a story that's on the akin to. Yeah, the PS4 Spider-Man game or the Miles Morales game. I think those level stories that are just central to New York and central to the people of New York, I think further builds him learning how to be a fully fledged Spider-Man. Because even though he's been Spider-Man for a while now, I don't think he's ever got that confidence or got that kind of full experience of being the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
So earlier in the episode, Dylan, you said you want another Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movie. Do you think that's possible?
I'm reaching the stage where I can't remember what I said 2 hours ago. I'm hoping so. I think they could, because the thing is that...
I mean, I tweeted out, I still think you could do an Andrew Amazing Spider-Man 3 before this movie came out. Now I'm even more sure we could do Amazing Spider-Man 3.
Well, I'm just like, give Tom Holland to MCU. Like, say, like, I don't mean like give up the rights, but you could be like, look, he's the MCU Spider-Man.
Do what you want.
Like, you can focus on him, Disney.
Yeah,
and
we'll still take the money.
We're gonna have another go at Andrew Garfield, and let's cross them back over again in 5-6 years.
I don't think Disney's okay with that.
Why? They don't give a
I
fuck
just
as long
don't
as they
think
get
Disney's
Spider-Man.
okay with, like, almost
They
having
don't need to be okay.
I think you can do both. I think you can have two Spider-Man at once. I feel like we're between the fact that we're doing these multiverse films, animated and live action. I think it should show that audiences are willing to understand that you have these different universes where the same people play different versions of characters, and you can have the same villains and similar stories, but have them going in different directions.
But,
and I would actually...
And then you can have an actual Spider-Man that will face these Sinister Six people you're building up.
Yeah. I don't think it will happen, just because I don't know if Andrew Garfield has a lot more interesting things happening in his career, to be honest, at the moment. Like,
he's done the Robert Pattinson thing.
Yeah.
I also think Garfield...
But that means he's at the Batman stage of his Robert Pattinson career.
Possibly. I think Garfield also liked this project coming back to Spider-Man a lot more because Disney was involved. I feel like he
always wanted to do crossovers, so...
I don't think Andrew would be that keen on a 100% Sony run Spider-Man movie ever again.
He might be if he like, now that the jar's open, that he can cross over.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if he's going to be able to cross over, and now that universe is part of the MCU in canon, Disney's going to have to want some kind of control or some kind of say in what's going on there.
Not really, because Marvel has no say in, like, Venom.
Marvel,
or anything.
yeah. No, yeah.
No, but I don't think
Sony
Marvel
owns the rights. It's as simple as that.
Sony. No, the thing is, I know Sony owns the rights, but I just think that
I think they would be happy to have.
I don't know.
Maybe they would rewrite a deal with, like, Marvel takes all the money from the.
Let's not forget that there was a time about, I don't know, 2 years ago, maybe at this stage, where I woke up one morning and it was like Disney and Marvel and Bob Iger and fucking whoever from Sony are fighting, so it's apparently Spider-Man's over. And then that's what it seemed like. I don't know if anyone remembers these stories, but there was a stage there for like 48 hours where it was like, well, that's it. We had a week. We had we had like our movie or whatever at the time, and all right, well, I guess that's it. Now it's just going to go back to Sony, and there's no more crossover. And they were back and forth for like a week, and there's all these stories about Tom Holland calling up Bob Iger and being like, get your shit together and whatever else. But you got to remember, at the end of this is a very weird deal that they've got going on that is supposed to help both parties, and maybe they've worked it out now. But ultimately, I still feel, and Disney knows it deep down, that the only reason Sony's having any success with Spider-Man is because of them. And I don't feel like that's even arguable. So, but they still, for some reason, apparently felt like they could be like, yeah, well, if you don't give us more money, we'll take him back. And Disney's like, all right then, see how you go. We'll buy him off you in 5 years when you're fucking bankrupt. You know, like...
yeah. No, but it was... yeah. I won't get into too much of the business details and correcting that. But yeah, I think that would be keen.
Excuse me?
Because I think if you did do an Andrew Garfield continuation, that would be this place you put Miles in.
No, fuck no. No way Disney is...
You don't put Miles in the MCU.
I think... No, you definitely put Miles in the MCU. Are you fucking crazy? They've already set this up with...
If you're Sony... You want Miles in your own universe.
Sony already has its Miles. Sony already has Into the Spider-Verse Miles. There's no way Disney and Marvel lets okays for them to use Miles, because they won't have the rights to Miles.
I would much rather see live action Miles.
They have control to all the Spider-Man characters.
I would rather see Tom Holland disappear and Miles Morales brought in to join our Young Avengers team.
I mean, yeah, that's potential. You know, Tom Holland dies at the end of the next trilogy, and then Miles comes in.
Disagree with that one. I want a world where consistently there is both Peter Parker and Miles Morales. I don't like the idea that one has to die
because
for
then,
the other two.
that would be great, because then you could get the crossover where Miles goes and visits the Andrew Garfield one, like in that comic book Miles Spider-Man.
Oh, God.
So yeah, Tom Holland has to die so Miles can.
This is no. Nope. But
Listen,
I just
Ciaran, you're not providing any solutions. You're just complaining about the.
No, but I'm saying that, like, I think Disney would find a way to stop Sony from using Miles in a live action movie that isn't anything to do with the MCU.
They can't.
They can't.
They'd have to find a way.
They literally cannot. Legally, they can't. Sony still own the rights to everything.
Anything Spider-Man related. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. It's a weird deal.
But then again, you know, that deal saved Marvel Comics from going bankrupt, so
it's true.
You can't complain. How weird was it having that title like thing in the credits, like thanking Avi Arad?
It is very weird.
Did you notice that?
A lot of people have a love-hate relationship with Avi, so I mean, technically, he did.
But obviously, he's been in all these films, so he's been.
He did save Marvel,
producer, so.
but a lot of people also blame him for them running the movie side into
running Sam Raimi
into the ground. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess unless there was anything else you wanted to talk about, I think we've come to our end of our spoilercast. Let us know what you thought of Spider-Man No Way Home. What do you think? Do you want another Andrew Garfield Amazing Spider-Man? I feel like that would... I would love that, just because it'd be interesting. Dylan,
my most marvelous moment is when he chooses to sacrifice his life to...
I forgot the moment.
And
the things to include.
He chooses to let everyone forget him, and he makes that decision.
Okay. Ciaran, what's your most marvelous moment? No Way Home.
I think the end section, starting with the coffee scene through to him leaving his apartment in the new suit for the first time, I think for me is a very interesting movement for Spider-Man as a whole.
All right, well, I'll be a common bitch and say it's when they show up for the first time.
I figured I was going to say that, and I was like, nah.
A common bitch when it comes to this shit.
Just a common bitch. Yeah. So now that we've got that segment out of the way, let us know what your most marvelous moment is from No Way Home. Do you want to see an Andrew Garfield movie? Maybe we'll talk about the future of Spider-Man potentially in another podcast or something. Theorizing what they could do and stuff. Yeah, let us know by going to explosionnetwork.com/Twitter or jump to Discord at explosion.com/Discord. If you want to help us out here at All New Marvelcast, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or on Podchase, or tell people about the show. And if you like this episode, thought it was worth $1, head on over to our Ko-fi page at explosion.com/support. Alright. So, the next Marvel movie is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So yes, I would expect the trailer from this to go out at some point. Probably in like 4 or 5 weeks. Or sooner, because it's already fan-camped.
I think a different
on the internet.
edited version. Like, I don't think it has the larger section with Wanda, but I think an edited version of what we've seen.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, so that comes out May 6th. So yeah, I guess watch that and join us next time for another all-new Marvelcast.